So, you ever just look at your life? The degree on the wall, the job you're supposed to love, this whole path you followed so carefully, and just feel this weird, quiet confusion. Like you did everything right, you checked all the boxes, but you're still stuck. If that's hitting home for you, listen up. You're not alone, and that feeling, it wasn't an accident. It was actually part of the plan.
I mean, it's just crazy, right? You followed the script, you put in all those hours, got the qualifications. They promised you success, they promised you freedom. So why does it feel like you're just stuck on a hamster wheel, running in a loop you can't get out of?
Okay, this right here, this is the big idea we really need to get into. What if that feeling of being stuck? What if it's not you? What if it's not a personal failure? Has nothing to do with how smart you are or how hard you work? What if it's the goal of the whole system, an outcome that was engineered from the very beginning to shape you for a specific purpose?
So to really get why you feel this way, we've got to look at the hidden blueprint. See, the whole foundation of our education, it was never really about teaching us how to think. Nope, it was about teaching us what to think. It was about creating this one predictable path and making sure every single one of us followed it, nice and orderly.
And just look at this contrast. It's really stark. On one side, you've got the promise, right? Critical thinkers, innovators, people with big ideas. But then look at the other side. That's the reality. What the system actually creates are obedient followers, good employees. It's a production line for people who are great at taking instructions, but who totally freeze up the second they face a problem that's not in the manual. So how do they do it? Well, it's through all these unwritten rules we just soak up over the years. You know the ones. Be quiet and sit still. Memorize these answers. These are the right answers. Follow instructions. Don't question them. And for God's sake, never challenge authority. The quiet kid gets the gold star, but the one who questions the assignment, they're a problem. Let's be real. This isn't education. It's obedience training. So, okay, if that's the problem, what's the solution? Well, it all starts with unlearning. You have to see the old programming for what it is and start replacing it piece by piece with a new set of truths. So let's dive into 5 key lessons that'll help you start reclaiming your own mind. I mean, think about it. What's the number one piece of advice we all get? Get a safe, stable job, right? It's held up like it's the ultimate goal in life. But here's the real question. What is that safety actually costing you? What kind of growth? What kind of opportunities? What kind of life are you giving up to stay safe? And that brings us right to our first lesson, the safety trap. The system is designed to make us terrified of risk. It just drills into our heads that the only smart move is to stay on the nice, smooth, paved road. But here's the thing. Real growth, real freedom, building something that's actually yours, that stuff doesn't happen on the safe road. It's out there on the rocky, uncertain path. That obsession with safety, it's not a safety net, it's a cage. And what about this? Why do you work so hard but feel like you're going nowhere? This one, man, this hits home for so many people. You're not lazy, you bust your butt, you do everything they tell you to do, but at the end of the day, you're just exhausted and you're no closer to where you want to be. What is going on? Well, here's lesson 2, your untrained muscle. Think about it like this. The school system made you do reps for your memory muscle every single day. And your obedience muscle, oh, that thing is jacked. But your critical thinking muscle, the one for independent thought, it was never trained. It was just left to get weak. So feeling stuck isn't some flaw in your character. It's just what happens when your training has been completely one-sided. And here's a big contradiction, one that's just baked right into the system. We're told, respect authority, don't question it. But in the next breath, they say, you should be a leader. Well, hold on. How can you ever become a leader if your core programming, your default setting, is just to follow? Yeah, the short answer is you can't. It just doesn't work. And that's lesson 3, the obedience ceiling. You can't lead anyone, especially yourself, if your first instinct is always to just look for orders. That mindset creates this invisible ceiling on your potential. Real progress means you have to be willing to challenge things, to take smart risks, to actually trust your own gut. Just following orders will only get you so far, and then bam, you hit that ceiling. Now, this next question, I really want you to hear this one. Are you to blame for a game you were never taught how to play? For years, maybe your whole life, you've probably been beating yourself up. Why can't I get this? I should be doing better. It's time to let go of that. You've been playing a rigged game, and no one ever even told you the real rules. And that brings us to maybe the most freeing lesson of all, lesson 4. It's not your fault, it's your programming. The second you stop seeing your habits and your fears as who you are and start seeing them as software that was installed, the whole world changes. It is not your fault. And just realizing that, just that awareness, that's the key that lets you start rewriting your own code.
Think about all the advice we get. It's just constant, right? From our parents, our bosses, from society. It's coming from all sides. But how often do we ever stop and ask a really simple but powerful question? Who actually benefits if I do this?
And that leads us to our final lesson, and this one is an active one. It's a practice. Lesson 5, the power of inquiry. It means you stop just taking advice at face value. Instead, you become a detective. When someone tells you you should do this, you start asking questions. Where did they get that idea? What's in it for them? Does this actually help me, or does it just help them? This is how you go from being a passenger to being the driver of your own life. All right, so we've kind of unpacked the problem, right? We've talked about the big mindset shifts you need to make to break free. But, talk is cheap. How do you actually start doing this? Like today, right now? Well, it really comes down to these 4 simple steps. First, just acknowledge the programming. When that old way of thinking pops up, just notice it. Don't judge yourself, just see it. Second, question everything. Make curiosity your new default setting. Ask why a lot. Third, trust your own investigation. Do your own homework and learn to trust what you find, even if everyone else disagrees. And finally, number 4, define your own right answer. Because life isn't a test with a single correct solution. Your job isn't to find the answer, it's to create it. Look, the whole point of this wasn't to just give you a new list of answers to memorize. The goal was to give you a whole new set of questions to ask. So this isn't the end of the road. It's the beginning of a brand new way of thinking. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Think about one piece of common sense advice you've always just accepted. One path you've been walking down just because you were told to. Now that you have this new awareness, what's the one question you're going to dare to ask about it today? Because the answer you find, well, it just might change everything for you.